Just on time. Just to the right place. Samach Vav. 66. A. Samach Vav.
Morava?
I'm on the top by Rabbi Yomi.
Oh, yes, okay. I was trying to get it.
Okay, so we're learning about the dispute between the Baitusim and Chazal. When is the Omer brought? Is it brought on the day after Yom Tov, or is it brought the day after Shabbos? The question is, what does the word Shabbos mean? So we have all of these different rabbis that are proving that Shabbos means Yom Tov. So here we have Rabbi Yomi, he's the latest. First we had an early brisa with Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Now we have a brisa that's later, which is Rabbi Yosi bar Yehuda. It also quotes Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, that's a question. And then now we have Rabbi Yosi. This is already Talmidei Rabbi Akiva. This is... Taisus points out something interesting, that Rabbi Yosi bar Yehuda, that's the first one that's quoted in this new Tanur Rabbanan, is really later than Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yosi are friends.
Mm-hmm.
His son is Rabbi Yosi bar Yehuda.
Okay.
And he's the first Tana that was quoted in this brisa.
Earlier.
Then comes along Rabbi Yosi, who was much older. He says, why is the younger one quoted earlier? He says, Taisus says, don't be concerned that the earlier brisa was quoted, the earlier Tana was quoted later. We find that sometimes also. Okay. It happens.
So it happens when you ask the question.
Okay, Rabbi Yosi, we know who Rabbi Yosi is. Rabbi Yosi is Rabbi Yosi ben Chalafta. He's the author of the Seder Olam. All our Jewish history comes from him. We're on top of page 66. Rabbi Yosi Omer. Mimachras HaShabbos, it says in the pasuk, the day after Shabbos. It means Mimachras Yom Tov. It means the day after Yom Tov. So he challenges this. He says, Ata Mimachras Yom Tov. You say that it means Mimachras Yom Tov. Mimachras Shabbos, Shabbos Bereshis. Maybe it means after Saturday. How do you know that it means that? He has to prove it. So Amrit, B'chinemar Mimachras HaShabbos Shabbateicha Pesach. Does it say which Shabbos? Does it say Shabbos during Pesach? That we should bring the Omer? That we should know when it is? If it says Mimachras HaShabbos? It doesn't say that. It only says Machras HaShabbos. Now the whole year you have 52. Or less, or 48, whatever the solar or lunar calendar. You have 48 choices if it means Saturday. How do you know when to bring the Omer? If Mimachras HaShabbos doesn't mean Yom Tov.
So maybe they wanted to have shul so
It's a lot of cheesecake.
Yeah. Make up their mind.
Okay, so Tzei B'daik, Ezer Shabbos. Go find which Shabbos. Doesn't say which Shabbos. And also, Rabbi Yosi has another point. It says Nemer Shabbos Lamata, V'Nemer Shabbos Lamayla. It says Shabbos when it comes to Shavuos. By Shavuos it says Ad Mimachras HaShabbos Tisbru Chamishim Yom. Until after Ad Mimachras HaShabbos HaShvius, until after the 7th week, you count 50 days. And then that's when you celebrate Shavuos. So Lamata means Shavuos. It says Shabbos, after the 7th week you celebrate Shavuos. It also says Shabbos Lamayla. It says Mimachras HaShabbos. You begin counting after Shabbos.
One is Shvius and one is Shabbos.
No, it says Ad Mimachras HaShabbos HaShvius. Until after the 7th week, you count.
Okay,
And then but when it starts the Sfira, it says Usfartam Lachem Mimachras HaShabbos. So our whole discussion is Usfartam Lachem Mimachras HaShabbos. That's the whole discussion. The last Shabbos we know means weeks. Here it's the question is Mimachras HaShabbos. The question is Machras HaShabbos. Is it Shabbos or Yom Tov? So just like Nemer Shabbos lemata v'nemer Shabbos lemaila. Mala halin regel tchilas regel. Just like what happens there is when it says weeks, it's referring to the Yom Tov of Shavuos, and it's the beginning of the Yom Tov. Afkan regel tchilas regel. Also the Shabbos that it says earlier, when you begin counting, it means Yom Tov. Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Reb Shimon ben Elazar is a student of Reb Meir. He says, Kasav Echad Aimer, one pasuk says, Sheishis Yom Teichel Matzos. 6 days you should eat matzos. Kasav Echad Aimer, Shivas Yom Matzos Techelu. 7 days you should eat matzos. One pasuk is in Devarim, and the other pasuk is in Shmos. One is in Re'eh. The first pasuk is, the Sheishis Yamim. The first pasuk that we quoted is in Re'eh. The other one is in Shalach, or Bais, where it talks about. Okay, Tzad, how is it? 6 days eat matzahs or 7 days? So matzah, shiat yachalaych l'shiva menachadash, at yachalaych l'shisha menachadash. It's coming to teach me that 6 days I can eat it from the new grain. 7 days I can't eat it from the new grain. It's only 6 out of the 7 I can eat from the new grain. Taisus points out that that's not what the Gemara learns from this in other places. In other places, the Gemara says, do I have an obligation to eat matzah all 7 days? And the answer is no. If you don't want to eat matzah, you're gluten-free, you don't have to. Or whatever it is. You don't have to eat matzah. You can eat avocados the whole Pesach. If you want to eat bread, you have to eat matzah. And it learns it from this. It says, just like the 7th day, there's no obligation to eat matzah. Also, all 6 days, there's no obligation to eat. Mashvi, Rishos, Avshishur. So Taisus points out that it could be that we learn more than one thing from this double, and also the inconsistency between 6 and 7. Okay. Reb Shimon ben Elazar continues. Or maybe it's just the Brisa, the Stam Brisa. It goes on, it's explaining the pasuk now. It says, Miyoim haviyachem, the full pasuk is, Miyoim haviyachem esaimer atinufa, sheva shabbos timim estiyana, which means from the day of bringing the Omer, of waving, 7 complete Shabbos it should be, and 7 complete weeks it should be, until after the 7th week, you should count 50 days and you bring the new mincha. So it says, Miyayim haviyachem tisperu, you should count. From the day of bringing it, you should count. Now, yachal yiktzer v'yavi, maybe a person should harvest. Bring the Eimer, ve'emes hashir to yispar. Whenever he wants, he can count. It just has to be preceded by the Eimer. Doesn't mean they have to start on that day. Follow? It doesn't say that you need to start on that day. It just means that has to come first. So it says, Talmud Laimar, Mihachal Chemesh Bakama. We jump to Dvarim here. We jump to we tell us, Mihachel Chemesh Bakama. From when the sickle touches the stalk, Tachel Lisper, you begin to count, which means that you have to count from the harvest, from the harvesting of the grain. Okay. If from when the sickle touches the stalk, it's missing. Tachel Lisper, you begin to count. Yachal Yiktar v'Yispar. Maybe what it means is that you harvest the grain for the Eimer, then you count. The Eimas Ashir to Yavi, but it doesn't tell you what day to bring it. You harvest, count, and bring it whenever you want. So Talmud Leimer Miyayim Haviyachem. No, it says from the day that you bring it. It means you have to bring it then. Miyayim Haviyachem. If it says on the day that you bring it, if that's the source, so Yachal Yikzer v'Yispar v'Yavi b'Yayim. Maybe you should do the harvesting, the counting, and the bringing all by day. When do we count Sfir Seimer? We always count it by night. Talmud Leimer Sheva Shabbos is Tmim Estiyana. 7 complete weeks. When do you have complete weeks? Only if you count in the evening. Because then, if you count in the evening, the Jewish calendar, the days start at night. So if you count at night, then you count the first day by the first night. It's complete. If you count by day, it's not complete. It's a half a day. So Yachal Yichtzer V'Yavi V'Yisper B'Layla. Maybe you should harvest, bring, and count it all by night. You bring the sacrifice by night. Talmud Laimar Miyayim Haviyachem, from the day that you bring it. Ha Ketzad. So how do you get work all of these complications out? It says like this: Ktsira Svir Balayla. You start counting from when you cut, and that's done by night because you need to count by night. Why? If you don't count by night, then it's not complete. And V'Hava B'Yayim, and then you bring the Karbanaymer by day. Okay. Yesterday, I forget, someone mentioned. They said, why are we making such a big deal about Menachos Shabbos? We going over. Anyway, look at this Gemara here. Let's see.
It's even better.
Okay. Amar Rava. In middle of 66, A. Amar Rava. Rava says, Kulu islahu percha. All of the statements that we made, the arguments against the Baitusim of what Menachos Shabbos means, they all have questions on them. Bar mitarti tanai basroi bein b'masnisa kamaisa bein masnisa basraisa. Except for the two tanaim that are in the first brisa and the last two tanaim of the first brisa and last two of the last brisa. The last lupircha, that they don't have a question on them. We were being respectful when we were learning it. We didn't challenge it. But Rava is going to challenge and say, how do you know that's what it means? So, Imad Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, okay, so now we have to take a look back. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's claim, after he got rid of the Moshe Rabbeinu loves the Jews, so therefore he gives them 2 days of a holiday. After we got rid of that, he said, we have a contradiction between the psukim. One pasuk says you count 50 days, and one pasuk says you count 7 weeks. Which one is it? It says 7 complete weeks. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai responds to that contradiction. He resolves it. He says if Pesach is in the middle of the week, then you just count 50 days. But if Pesach is on Shabbos, then starting from Sunday you count 7 weeks. So the 7 weeks is if it's on a Sunday. Otherwise it's 50 days and it's in the middle of the week. You start in the middle of the week. Okay. That was what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told him. So therefore, Menachos Shabbos would mean after Yom Tov, because it could be in the middle of the week. It doesn't mean Saturday. So he says, Dilma Kida Abaya. Maybe the answer to that contradiction is what Abaya says. What does Abaya say? Damar Abaya. Rava is quoting Abaya now. Damar Abaya, mitzvah lemimne yaimei, mitzvah lemimne shvui. That there's 2 mitzvahs. It says you count 50 days and you count 7 weeks. There's a mitzvah to count days and there's a mitzvah to count weeks. Right? For Shvir Seimer. So how do you know that it means that if Pesach falls in the middle of the week, that you start counting from the middle of the week? It's not a proof, the fact that I have 50 days and 7 complete weeks. You follow? Because Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was proving that there's 2 possibilities. It's possible to have 7 complete weeks. And it's possible to have not 7 complete weeks. It's possible to be 50 days because we're not starting on a Sunday. Oh, we're not starting on a Sunday? Then Menachos Shabbos doesn't mean Shabbos Saturday. That's the day after Saturday, Sunday. And it could mean even a Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Why? So what does Shabbos mean? Shabbos means Yom Tov. See, the Baitusim said Shabbos means Saturday. And therefore, Shavuos is always going to fall on a Sunday. Menachos Shabbos, because you start counting the 7 weeks on the day after Saturday. And we said no, it means the day after Yom Tov. So now that the way that we prove that the Baitusim are wrong is that we have two verses. One says you count 50 days. One says you count 7 weeks. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says the 50 days is referring to if Pesach fell out in the middle of the week, which you don't start on a Sunday. You start on whenever it fell out, the day after Pesach, after the first day Yom Tov. And the 7 weeks is if it fell out on Shabbos. You start on a Sunday, so it's 7 complete weeks. So we said that that's not a proof, because Abaya says we need those 2 verses to teach me something else. Those 2 verses teach me that I have to count the weeks and I have to count the days. 50 days and 7 weeks. Even the Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. If we're going to take the next two, remember Rabbi Eliezer was Sefer. He's in the front room counting. Rabbi Yeshua, this is my example. Rabbi Yeshua is Mina. He's also counting. We said, Rabbi Eliezer said Tisperlach, that is Tali Bebezdin. Bezdin needs to count. If it means weeks, Bezdin doesn't count weeks. You have to go to Bezdin to ask if it's Shabbos. You have to go to Bezdin to ask if it's Yom Tov, to find out the calendar. So that's Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Rabbi Yeshua said that you count days and you sanctify the month, you count days and you sanctify Atzeres, that just like you're able to recognize the month by the moon, so to Atzeres you should be able to be recognized by the moon, which means it always needs to be the exact day on the moon calendar, on the lunar calendar. That's the way Taisvus explained it. So which means it's always the 6th. If it's the day after Shabbos, you have to wait for Saturday and then you start counting. It's not always going to be on the 6th. It could be on the 12th, depending on when Pesach falls out. It's not, the moon won't be the same size. So according to them, Rabbi says it's not a good proof. Why? How do you know it's the first day of Yom Tov? Maybe it's the last day of Yom Tov. Now, this does not help the Baitusim at all. Because the Baitusim said it doesn't mean Yom Tov. They said it means Shabbos. But nevertheless, it doesn't prove our point, that it's you start counting from the first day of Yom Tov. According to Rabbi Eliezer, where you need the Bezdin to count. So the Bezdin tells me when the first day of Yom Tov is, the Bezdin tells me when the last day of Yom Tov is. It's all dependent on the day of the month, not the day of the week. So I still need the Bezdin, even if it's the last day of Yom Tov. According to Rabbi Yeshua, that I need to be able to recognize by the moon when Yom Tov is. So the same way I can recognize when the first day of Yom Tov is, which is the 15th, I can recognize when it's the 21st as well, by the moon. It's always the same, right? It's always the same size when the moon is on the 21st of the month, right? So it's not a good proof that it's the beginning of Yom Tov. Pesach, we start to count Sefira. Maybe you start counting from the last day of Yom Tov. Okay.
When do we do it? The second?
We do it the day after the first day of Yom Tov, which means for us it's a Seder night. In Eretz Yisrael, it's the day after Yom Tov, the night after Yom Tov. So the Chassam Sofer didn't want to move to Eretz Yisrael. He didn't want to give up on the second Seder. Yeah, I guess he had an opportunity to move to Eretz Yisrael. But Chutz La'aretz, you have 2 Sedarim. It's so special. They have a bunch of things that they attribute to the Chassam Sofer why he didn't go to Eretz Yisrael. Another one is he didn't want to burn his jacket. He was concerned about the question of burning your jacket in Meron on Lag BaOmer. Wasn't sure if it was Baltashches. He wasn't sure. There's a minhag. People that go to Meron, they take oil and they take an old jacket or something and they put it on over the matzeva and they pour the oil on it and they light it. It burns like a wick. It burns like carbon. I don't know. I don't know the background to that. Anyway, it's just another thing that's attributed to the Chassam Sofer. Okay. The Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir, Leslu Pircha. Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir, we don't have a question on them. Rabbi Yishmael's opinion was that just like on Shavuos, Leslu Pircha, right? Less means there's not. Rabbi Yishmael says just like on Shavuos, it's the beginning of the month. It's the beginning of the holiday. So too on Pesach, it's the beginning of the holiday. And he learns from Havi Omer b'Pesach, and you bring the Omer on Pesach, you bring the 2 breads on Shavuos, just like over there it's the holiday, so too here it's the holiday, and so therefore it needs to be the holiday, and also needs the beginning of the holiday. You can't ask maybe it's the last day of the holiday. Shavuos is only one day. And Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseir says that it says Shabbos on the top, it says Shabbos on the bottom, which means Pesach. It says Shabbos by Shavuos. Just like over there it's the beginning of the holiday, so too over here it's the beginning of the holiday. Okay, so we don't have a question on them. Now we go to the second brisa, the Tana Rabbanan. The first Tana of the second brisa was Imid Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda, Hava Amina Dilma Chamisham Labar Mehanishita. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda had an interesting claim. He said, if you don't start counting from the day after Yom Tov, when do you start counting? From Sunday, then it won't be exactly 50 days. Because when do you start counting? You have to, it's Yom Tov was on a Shabbos. Yom Tov was on a Sunday. So you start counting from Monday. So, but you don't count 50 from Monday. You have to wait until Sunday to start counting. So you have to wait Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, and then you start counting on Sunday. So it's really 56 days. It's not 50 days.
You get 56?
Because you have to start from Monday till you get to Sunday. The 50 starts on Sunday. So even though you're not going to count today as the 7th day of the Yomer because you don't bring the Yomer, you're going to say today's the first day of the Yomer. But it turns out that you're really calculating it back from Yom Tov until Sunday. So he says, Rabbi doesn't accept that. He says, Imid Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda Havamina. I could have thought, or I could have said, Dilma Chamisham Bar Mehanishita. So what? I start counting 50. Besides for those 6. That's not a problem. I start counting from the Yomer, 50. It's not maybe it was a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean that that's a problem. Imid Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. If it's from Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, now if you notice, we just mentioned Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira before, and we said that Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, we did not have a question on him, because he said Shabbos Lamaila, Shabbos Lamata. It says Shabbos twice. We know one is Shavuos, the other one must be Pesach. Now we have Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira in the brisa, in the second brisa. We have twice Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Taisus was bothered that how do you have twice Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, and this time he says something different. Here he says that it needs to be dependent in Bezdin. It's Tisra Lach. And over there he didn't say that. So I have an answer for Taisus. I have another text. It says the first one is Rabbi Yeshua ben Beseira. That's what, on the side it says that. It's not Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. They say Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. He used to find different texts, different versions from manuscripts, and he would answer like difficult questions with that. The Bachrim didn't like it. They liked, Pilpulim. This was just, he found a different manuscript. Anyway, one day he comes in and he gives the shir, and he's mafalpal, everything. It's like very exciting. The Bachrim are so excited. He asked questions and he answered them logically. And so they said, Rebbe, you changed your derech halimat? He says, no, I didn't have time to prepare. Okay. So even Taisa says it's difficult to say that there's two Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseiras. Okay. If it's Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that says that you need something that's dependent on Bezdin, mimai de b'yam tov rishon kai, how do you know that it's the first day of Yom Tov? Dilma b'yam tov achron kai. Maybe it's the last day of Yom Tov. You still need Bezdin, right? You can't get to the Yom Tov achron without the days of the month. And that means that Bezdin need to be Mekadesh the Chaydesh. Okay. Rabbi Yossi nami chazer li percha. Rabbi Yossi, there's also a question on Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said two things. Rabbi Yossi said, this is where we started today. His first point was, does it say Mimachras Shabbos Shabbatei Pesach? Does it say Shabbos, the day after Shabbos, that's during Pesach? It doesn't say which Shabbos. And then he says also, it says Shabbos by Shavuos, it says Shabbos by Pesach, one's Yom Tov, this is also Yom Tov. So, but Rabbi Yossi, we can have a question on him. What's the question? Question is that you can ask, that how do you know that Mimachar says, okay, granted, it doesn't say Shabbos in the middle of Pesach. So guess what? Shabbos means Yom Tov. We'll give that to you. But how do you know which Yom Tov? First Yom Tov or the second Yom Tov? Pesach is the beginning of Pesach, and then. So he got us. Okay, it's not Saturday, but we don't know which day it is. So that's why he says, that's why Rabbi says, and also I'll give you another reason. See, a lot of times, people give several reasons for things. I say, first of all, it's this, and if you don't like that, then this. If you don't like that reason, I'll give you another reason. They give you like 5-6 reasons. Now, in the yeshivas, they tell you, look, your first reason wasn't good, your second reason wasn't good, your third reason wasn't good. You try to adding all of these up together, you think that each one was partial. Each one is lav dafka. It's not necessarily true. So just because you gave me 6 reasons, but let me tell you, each one is not 100%. So in your mind, like they all add up. Wow, okay, you're very convincing. But in actuality, it doesn't really mean that you've added up anything there. So that's why Rabbi Yossi has to say va'oid. And the next one doesn't have a question. It says Shabbos on the by Shavuos, and it means Yom Tov. It says Shabbos by Pesach, and it means Yom Tov. So and it's just like over there, it's the beginning of Yom Tov. Also by Pesach, it's the beginning of Yom Tov. Okay, we mentioned before Abaya. The Gemara says Gufa. We've been trying to work out, as we learn the Gemara, when the Gemara uses the term Amar Mar, the Master said, and when it uses the term Gufa. And the theory that we posed is that Amar Mar is when we're quoting a brisa that we need to re-examine. And Gufa is when we stated something from Amirayim that we needed to re-examine. And so far it's been working out. I mean, we're doing this ourselves to figure this out. But Gufa was taught before, and it was by Abaya. So Amar Abaya said, Mitzvah lemimne yaimei, or mitzvah lemimne shvui. It's a mitzvah to count the days, and it's a mitzvah to count the weeks. Rabbanan debei Rav Ashi manu yaimei umanu shvui. The Rabbanan in the house of Rav Ashi, in the yeshiva of Rav Ashi, which is the end of the Gemara, they counted days and they counted weeks. Ameimar, on the other hand, one of the Amiraim, the later Amiraim, Manu Yaimi, V'lai Manu Shvui. He only counted days. He didn't count weeks. Amar Zeicha L'Mikdashu. It's only a remembrance of the Beis HaMikdash. Which means it's only a rabbinic decree that we should be counting, because there's no Aimer.
So what does he care to count?
Very good. So why does he count? Why does he count only the days? So if you notice, the Mefarshim asked this, the Mefarshim asked that. Let me just see what it says over here. In the pasuk of Chamishim Yom, Ad Mimachas HaShabbos, that's in Vayikra. It says, Tispru Chamishim Yom, V'kravte Mincha Chadash Al Hashem. They say that the weeks are what determine Shavuos. Shavuos is weeks. But the days is what determine the Karban, the Shtei Alechem, the sacrifices of the... So the days are associated with the karbanos, and that's Zeichel HaMikdash. They were only doing it to remember the Mikdash, and the karbanos. That's what. You have to read the psukim carefully to see if that's accurate. Let me just point out that the Ran says that the reason why you don't say Shachianu when you count Sfiras Aimer, which is surprising. Count Sfiras Aimer, say Shachianu first time. The reason is, he says, because since it's Zeichel HaMikdash and we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, so it's not a full simcha. So we don't say Shachianu. The first ask on the Ran. So how can you say Shachianu? Let's say someone didn't shake lulav on the first day of Sukkot. So the next days of Sukkot is only Zeichel Mikdash. It's not biblical. It says L'kach B'yem Rishon. Why do you do it on the other days of Sukkot? Because it says Usmachtem Lefnei Hashem Elekechem Shivas Yom, because you should rejoice. In the Beis Hamikdash, they took the lul of 7 days. But we do it only as a remembrance. Rabbi Yochanan Menachem was masakin that we should remember the Mikdash. So if you didn't say Shechianu on the first day, you would say it during the week. How can you say Shechianu during the week? You're remembering a Beis Hamikdash that we don't have. It's not rejoicing. That's the question that they ask on the Ran. Okay, the Tosfos over here says something interesting. He says that Safek Chashecha, the top, the Zeichel Mikdash, he says that let's say you're not sure if it's night. Are you allowed to say a bracha on Sfiras Eimer? So he says you can say a bracha. You don't have to wait till it's Vadei Laila. It's only a derabanan. And Sveika derabanan, the kula. If there's a doubt, rabbinic, if it's night already, you can say the bracha. This doesn't accept this really, but he quotes this. The second point, he says that even it's even better because it's more complete. You're doing it before nightfall, possibly, and then we want it to be complete days. Then Tosfos quotes. He goes through a whole thing. He quotes the Bahag, the Halachas Gedolos. Halachas Gedolos was one of the Gaonim. I forget if it's Rabbi Yehuda Gaon or someone else. I think they don't know who it is. I think that it's Rabbi Yehuda Gaon or someone else. And he says that if you don't count one day, then you can't count anymore because it needs to be Tmimus. This comes from the Bahag. Now, I should point out that the Bahag, Tosfos quotes also as saying that if you don't count by night, you can count during the day. Why? He says because the Omer, we have a source that says that the Omer could be brought by day.
Was he quoted a lot?
Does Tosfos quote the Bahag a lot? He does quote the Bahag. The Bahag actually ends up in sometimes, he's so early, that he sometimes ends up in the text of the Gemara, in a parentheses. Sometimes. There's a few places like that. He quotes the Bahag. The Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs is all because he doesn't approve of what the Bahag wrote. That's like basically the whole Sefer Mitzvahs was the Bahag would count Mitzvahs Derabanan as part of the Taryag. He counts like Hanukkah, and the Rambam doesn't hold of that. And if you read that introduction, he has 12 or 13 rules of which mitzvahs he counts. It's all it says, not like the earlier sources say.